Hello, and welcome to my channel. Prepare for a night of terror, psychosis, cults, night stalkers, hostages, let's not forget massacres. A night when you're in someone's unconscious mind, hoping and praying you can run away from the creepy person in your backyard, or maybe escape from the deranged person holding you hostage. Being the audience yourself, you start to ask yourself, how did I get into this transcendental science? It'll trap you in your own mind like a prisoner. Lock your doors, say your prayers, stay out of the driveway, be aware of the bumps in the night, and the prickles in the back of your neck during a good night's sleep.
When I was 18, I shared a dorm with a bitchy roommate. She suffered from bipolarism and was on some sort of medication. I guess that's why she would snap on me. But I barely stood in my dorm because of her sucky attitude. One night, I spent my afternoon and evening at the library studying and typing up an essay. As I packed my books in my school bag, I looked across the room and saw a person dressed in a black cloak. I couldn't really see the person's face because the person was also wearing a face liner and a hood which covered the top of their face. I'm ashamed to admit, but I am the type to easily get scared when seeing something unusual like this. But then again, it was just me and that one person in the library. Packed and ready to go, I kept my eyes on the person with the black cloak. As I got up, the faceless person slowly turned its head, moving in my direction, while I exited the library. For some strange reason, I felt the person watching. It was starting to feel personal. I decided to go to the restroom and brush my teeth before going back to my dorm. As I brushed my teeth, I heard a bump coming from the ceiling. It startled me and I looked up at the ceiling. Something was definitely off that night, like someone was watching me or maybe following me. I finished off rinsing my mouth and took a deep breath. Frustrated to go back to my dorm because I dreaded to hear my roommate complain about something. Finally making my way in, I saw that my roommate had the lights off, and she was sitting on her desk with the computer on. Her back was facing me, and I asked her if she was okay, but she stood there silent. I assumed she was having an affair with some random guy as usual. But I saw someone under her covers, and it was because of the light reflecting in the room that I was able to see. I quickly changed into my pajamas while keeping my eye on her. I got into bed and decided to use my earpods in case I heard any disturbing noises during her night with some strange guy. I also took a melatonin to fall asleep quicker. I slowly closed my eyes, letting the melatonin stimulate through darkness and into a deep sleep. I started dreaming about me being paralyzed to the bed and watching someone in a hooded cloak strangling a female with a rope and then smothering her with a cloth. I hear the person grunting and kicking, trying to fight. Then I heard what sounded like a muffled shot. I then woke up in a cold sweat, gasping. I looked at my roommate and I assumed she was asleep. But oddly, I could see her legs were jerking through the sheets. I went ahead to check on her and tried waking her up. I turned on the lights. I noticed there was blood through the sheets. I slowly pulled down the sheet and saw that my roommate's throat was slashed. I also saw fluid coming out of her nose. I didn't know what to do. It was the middle of the night and I heard footsteps. I went ahead and opened the door. I screamed, "Help!" You wouldn't believe what I saw. It was the same person I saw the night before at the library. I locked the door, panicking, but then it clicked. This had to be the same person that was on the computer, not my roommate. The blonde hair sure did help the person in disguise, while having her back towards me. I wondered, how come this person didn't bother to lay a hand on me? Eventually, the campus police came. I was checked and questioned. I didn't mind at all because I obviously didn't do anything, and the DNA and blood work did not match any evidence. But I heard there was a student on campus who threatened my roommate a week ago for sleeping with her boyfriend. It has been a year since this happened. The case remains open and still a mystery. Me and my friend were just arriving home from a bar and decided to pick up a pizza because we had the drunk night munchies. We got a large pie. Thank God we decided not to drive because we knew we'd get hammered. My friend failed to mention that there was a Ouija board back in the dorm that she kept under her bed. I found it amusing and shrugged, but she insisted that we do something wild that night. I figured we'd take a shot at it, but I was super skeptical about experiencing something with the beyond. So after 2 slices and refreshments, we both decided to get into bed to perform what she thought was a seance. I smirked and shook my head and went along with it. We put our hands on the planchette. I knew she was moving it purposely because she was moving it out of control. I told her to stop moving it and she swore it wasn't her. My friend started asking the board about a cousin of hers who passed away, and I was starting to get super annoyed. So then she asked if Sheila was happy where she was at, and if she was still in pain. I looked at my friend as if she were nuts, but the board started spelling out something really slowly. I-T I-S-Y-O-U-R TIMETOFEELMYPAIN. I just had a furrowed look because it spelled out, "It's your time to feel my pain." I then looked at my friend again and her head was face down with her hair covering her face. I grabbed her by the shoulders, shaking her. She felt very delicate. I told her to stop fucking around, game's over. But she quickly threw her hair back, giving me a fright. She started letting out a disturbing laugh. It scared the shit out of me, but then her eyes started rolling back. I was freaking out, but also telling her to stop. She flew off the bed and started punching the mirror. She quickly walks back to me. She started cutting the side of her stomach with a shard, then tells me, "Feel my pain." I'm not happy. Then my friend starts bursting into tears, beginning to now slit her wrists. My lamp fell on the floor. She starts saying the pain won't go away. I didn't know what to do. She began going crazy and ripping her hair out. I was scared to death because it felt like she was going to attack me. Her voice started to change in a deep tone. This time the words that came out of her mouth were the same words the board said. "It's your time to feel my pain." I ran out of the dorm screaming for help. I remembered my friend telling me that her cousin Sheila was suicidal and would cut herself to feel better when she withdrew from heroin. After this experience, rumor has it that she ran off to become a Satanist, and life didn't seem to be the same for her anymore. I couldn't believe that the spirit or demon that entered her was able to take over her normal life. It was 11 p.m. and I had just finished studying. It sucked being away from my family because I started suffering from insomnia ever since I started college. And it was the smallest things in life I started to appreciate, like having a home-cooked meal during the day so that I'd be able to sleep well. I called up my roommate to see what he was up to, and coincidentally, he told me he wasn't able to sleep either, and that he was on his way back to the dorm with 3 friends. For a moment, my eyebrow raised because I thought, why would he be bringing back people to the dorm, and especially at night? A few minutes later, I hear a knock, and it's my roommate with a guy, and I'm assuming the other person was the guy's girlfriend. He quickly introduced me and told me that he'd had some drugs on him. The girlfriend of the random guy showed me a bag of Percocet that she had bought from a drug dealer earlier. They were convinced it would make us feel super relaxed, and dopamine released more easily, but I was skeptical, and I fell back for a minute thinking this would be a bad idea. My roommate crushed it onto a tray and began dividing it into rolls. I was already upset that my girlfriend and I had an argument prior to that day, and I needed to get her off my mind. I assumed she would call me back, but it was a routine that we had with arguing back and forth. I noticed my roommate's friend crushed a separate pill for me and divided it into 2 lines as well. I just stared at them while they both stared at me blankly. It was so weird. I asked them what's the difference. They said we were just trying to be fair and enjoy ourselves. I shrugged and snorted a line. In a few minutes I began to feel euphoric, but also relaxed and a relief of making my emotional pain go away, helping me forget about my girlfriend. I passed out feeling drowsy, but then I looked over at my roommate and I struggled to see what the guy and his girlfriend were doing to my roommate. All I heard was grab his wallet and jewelry. I struggled trying to get up because the room was spinning. I can see the girl look at me startled and she rushes with her boyfriend out of the room. I try to get my head together, but as I got closer I can see that my roommate was in bed. He didn't seem right, so I shook him a bit. He actually looked like he was turning blue, and 3 of his fingers on his left hand were cut off. I freaked out and began checking his pulse, but no pulse. I then looked into his shirt and saw a pentagram carved above his chest. It definitely looked like a knife was used. I called 911 and told them about my roommate not breathing with his fingers chopped off. How sickening and unbearable. What was happening? What was the work of those 2 sick people? This might sound silly, but I spent a day in jail simply because they found the drugs in our room and I was questioned. They forced me to tell me who gave me the drugs because my roommate's opioid was filled with fentanyl in it. I had no idea who it was. When they finally let me go, I heard that there were 2 students on the loose, wanted for murder and burglary, who would drug people and hurt them for the fun of it. Never would I have thought I'd witness some sick shit like this.